The morning after their first encounter, Alina met Zal-Thur in the Confederation flagship's observation deck. Jupiter's swirling storms provided a dramatic backdrop through the crystalline viewport as she handed him a steaming cup. "Earth coffee. Our one true contribution to galactic civilization," she said with a disarming smile. Zal-Thur's compound eyes analyzed the dark liquid suspiciously. "Your note suggested you knew I was monitoring you. Just as we've been monitoring you since your advanced probes entered our solar system 3 years ago." Alina sipped her coffee. "Those weren't as stealthy as you thought." The Vraxian's exoskeletal plates shifted in the equivalent of raised eyebrows. "Yet you made no contact. We preferred to understand before being understood." She gestured at the assembled alien fleet. "When someone vastly more powerful comes knocking, it pays to know their intentions first." Their conversation was interrupted as the High Chancellor's entourage entered. The Aquilarian leader, an enormous cephalopod-like being suspended in a hovering aquatic chamber, extended a tentacle toward Alina. "Captain Martinez, the Council is most impressed with Earth's application for membership. Your species shows remarkable adaptability." Alina bowed with perfect humility. "We have much to learn from the Confederation's 10,000 years of peace." The Chancellor's chromatophores flashed patterns of approval. "We've prepared integration protocols for humanity. Preliminary assessments recommend humans for diplomatic corps, cultural exchange, and minor administrative roles." "Perfect," Alina replied, her expression giving nothing away. "We excel at supportive functions." Later, as the diplomatic party toured Earth's orbital stations, Zal-Thur caught Alina alone in a restricted corridor. "Your species is deliberately underselling itself," he hissed. "I've accessed your historical archives. Humans split the atom centuries ago, created artificial intelligence, mastered genetic modification. Yet you present yourselves as technological novices." Alina examined a panel displaying the Confederation's member species. Interesting fact about Earth history. When European explorers encountered Native Americans, they were often welcomed and assisted. The natives shared knowledge freely, taught survival skills, offered resources. Within generations, those same natives were displaced or exterminated. She tapped the display, highlighting the extinct species section. 73 former Confederation members are listed as evolutionary dead ends. Care to explain why? Zal-Thur's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Species that cannot adapt to Confederation protocols naturally give way to those who can. "Naturally," Alina echoed with a knowing smile. "Earth unanimously voted to accept our minor administrative roles." Zal-Thur. "Every nation agreed without debate." "Impossible. Your species can't even agree on basic planetary governance." "Unless something united us before you arrived." Her communication implant chimed. "The tour's moving on. You should join them. The Council is about to announce humanity's integration assignments." As Zal-Thur turned to leave, Alina added, "One more thing. Those extinct species, we noticed they all had something in common. They took the front seats they were offered." The Vraxian paused. "You present a contradiction, Captain. Your history shows humans relentlessly compete for dominance. Yet now you seemingly embrace subservience." "Perhaps we've evolved," Alina replied. "Or perhaps we've learned that sometimes the most dangerous place to sit is exactly where everyone can see you." 3 days after the diplomatic ball incident, Alina found herself summoned to the Confederation's classified weapons research facility orbiting Proxima Centauri b. The facility's director, a crystalline lithoid named Vexinar, led her through decontamination fields that stripped away any surveillance devices. "Curious choice to bring me here," Alina commented, noting the absence of other humans in this wing. "I'm just a liaison officer." Vexinar's faceted surface refracted light in patterns indicating amusement. A liaison who somehow knew our engine saboteur used tachyon phase shifting to mask their work, a technique only 5 species have mastered. They entered a secure laboratory where a team of alien scientists hovered around a dissected device. the mysterious translation patch Elena had installed during the crisis. "Explain this," Vexnar demanded, gesturing at the exposed components. Elena studied the device with practiced nonchalance. "Standard Communications Bridge. Helps our systems interface with Confederation networks." "Then why does it contain quantum-entangled particles matched to nodes throughout our defense grid?" The lithoid's crystalline body darkened. "And why does its construction incorporate metallurgical techniques beyond your species' declared capabilities?" "Perhaps your assessment of our capabilities was incomplete." Elena ran her finger along the device's housing, just as our assessment of the ball's security was. Before Vexnar could respond, the laboratory's emergency systems activated. Holographic displays showed a Kradax stealth vessel approaching the facility. The lithoid rushed to a communications panel while security protocols initiated lockdown. Elena slipped a component from the dissected device into her sleeve. "How did they find this location?" Vexnar demanded. "This facility's coordinates are known only to High Council members." "And their assistants," Elena added quietly. "Their translators, their pilots, their servers who overhear everything." Security officers rushed in, demanding Elena return to the human quarter. As she was escorted out, she caught a glimpse of Zal Thur watching from a concealed observation room. Back in her quarters, Elena activated privacy countermeasures before retrieving the stolen component. She connected it to her personal terminal, revealing a database of Confederation security codes. Her expression hardened as she composed a message to Earth Command. "Infiltration confirmed. Faction identity verified." A gentle knock interrupted her. She barely had time to hide the evidence before Zal Thur entered. "The Kradax attacked 3 minutes after you were shown our most classified project," he said without preamble. "An interesting coincidence. Perhaps they were already on their way and I was deliberately brought here to be implicated." Elena met his gaze steadily. "The question is who benefits from having humans distrusted." Zal Thur circled her quarters. "You've scrambled the surveillance. Impressive for someone with supposedly limited technical knowledge. Basic privacy is hardly advanced technology." "Here's what puzzles me," Zal Thur continued. "During the engine crisis, human engineers implemented improvements using theoretical principles that our scientists published only in restricted journals no human should have access to. Maybe we developed similar theories independently. Or maybe," Zal Thur leaned closer, mandibles twitching, "humans have been intercepting our communications for decades. Maybe those UFO sightings your people dismissed as fantasies were actually our early survey vessels. And maybe your species has been preparing for this encounter much longer than you admit." Elena's smile never reached her eyes. "That would require a level of unified planning across generations. You yourself said we can barely agree on basic governance." "Unless," Zal Thur produced a classified Earth document, Operation Backbench. "Humanity's famous rivalries are as carefully staged as your diplomatic fumbling." The aftermath of the Kradax engagement left the Confederation Strategic Command in disarray. On the observation deck of the battle carrier Indomitable, Captain Nolan Chen stood before a tribunal of alien admirals, his small frame dwarfed by their imposing forms. "Your ships executed a pincer movement that exploited a resonance vulnerability in Kradax shields," accused Admiral Zexvora, a towering arthropoid whose carapace still bore scars from previous Kradax conflicts. "That weakness was classified at the highest levels." Chen's eyes flicked to the battle footage playing on the holographic display. "We didn't target any specific vulnerability. We simply noticed their shields fluctuated at regular intervals and timed our attacks accordingly." "Pattern recognition in combat conditions," scoffed a reptilian commander. "Impossible." Elena stepped forward from the shadows. "For species evolved in stable environments, perhaps, but humans evolved as persistence hunters, tracking prey across changing terrains, adapting to unexpected conditions. Pattern recognition under stress isn't exceptional for us. It's baseline." The admirals exchanged uneasy glances as Chen manipulated the holographic display, highlighting the Kradax formation. Their attack pattern mimicked predatory swarm behavior, he explained, similar to wolf packs or piranha schools on Earth. Once we recognized the biological basis, countermeasures became obvious. Later, walking through the ship's lower decks where human engineers were quietly repairing battle damage, Alina confronted Chen in private. "You could have been more subtle," she chided, checking for surveillance. "Tactical Command is requesting access to all human military records now." Chen's fingers traced a complex pattern on a damaged bulkhead, a signal to scramble nearby listeners. It was time. Phase 2 required a demonstration of capability. Phase 2 wasn't scheduled until after the Council vote on full membership. Plans changed when I found these. Chen produced a data crystal showing Confederation ships delivering weapons to Krydak staging areas. The attack wasn't random. Someone wanted to test our response capabilities. Alina studied the footage, her expression hardening. Who else knows? Just the Artemis network. I transmitted during the battle when Confederation systems were compromised. A maintenance hatch slid open unexpectedly. Both officers tensed, hands moving to concealed weapons, then relaxed as Zalthar emerged. "Fascinating conversation," the Vraxian said, mandibles clicking. "Particularly the part about your Artemis network. An intelligence operation, I presume." Chen moved protectively toward Alina, but she waved him off. "You're getting careless, Zalthar. I counted 3 tracking devices on your exoskeleton." The alien's compound eyes registered surprise as Chen produced a scanner showing the tracker's locations. "Not ours," Alina clarified. "Seems you've attracted attention from multiple parties." Zalthar's posture shifted. The Krydak's attack, the weapons deliveries, they're symptoms of something larger. The Confederation is fracturing internally. "We know," Chen replied evenly. "We've been tracking the division since our first probes detected your communication signals 40 years ago." Zalthar's exoskeleton flexed in shock. "Impossible. First contact was only." "Official contact," Alina corrected. "Humanity has known about the Confederation since your observation ships crashed in Roswell in 1947. Everything since. Our space program, our global tensions, our technological development paths, has been shaped by that knowledge." Chen's communication implant pulsed urgently. He checked the message and paled. "Artemis just intercepted a priority transmission from the High Council," he said grimly. "They're invoking Article 7 against Earth." Alina's eyes widened. "Containment protocol. They're going to quarantine our entire system," Chen confirmed. The demonstration worked too well. The maintenance tunnels of the archive station grew increasingly narrow as Zalthar followed his human guide deeper into the station's infrastructure. Emergency lighting bathed the metal walls in crimson, casting long shadows as distant explosions reverberated through the structure. "My security clearance shows no record of these passages," Zalthar noted, ducking beneath a tangle of coolant pipes. The maintenance worker, who had introduced herself simply as May, smirked. "That's because they don't officially exist. Human modification teams added them during routine repairs last year. You've been altering Confederation infrastructure. We preferred improving," May replied, stopping at a nondescript junction. She pressed her palm against what appeared to be solid wall, revealing a hidden biometric scanner. A section of paneling retracted, exposing a compact command center humming with activity. Alina sat at the central console, surrounded by holographic displays showing the station under attack. She acknowledged Zalthar with a nod. "The faction calling themselves purists have accelerated their timeline," she explained, manipulating the security feeds. "They've been experimenting on captured species, trying to engineer biological weapons specifically targeted to human DNA." Zalthar's compound eyes narrowed. "That violates fundamental Confederation principles." "Principles don't always translate to practice," Alina countered, bringing up a classified document bearing the High Council seal, especially when the founding charter contains secret provisions allowing for the containment of evolutionary threats. The Vraxian studied the document with mounting horror. "This classification level, Only the inner chamber has access. Had access, Mike corrected, tapping commands into a separate terminal. We copied the entire restricted archive 5 minutes ago. Transmitting to Artemis nodes now. Outside, the station shuddered as another explosion tore through its superstructure. You knew this attack was coming, Zolfer realized. You lured me here deliberately. Alina's expression remained neutral. We needed someone with your credibility to witness this. The purists aren't just targeting humans. They've identified 17 species with problematic evolutionary tendencies. Species that adapt too quickly, learn too easily. She gestured to a star chart highlighting Confederation worlds. Red markers pulsed across the display, worlds already experiencing unexplained epidemics. Test runs, May explained grimly. They're fine-tuning their bioweapons planet by planet. Zalthur's exoskeleton trembled. The Council would never authorize. The Council doesn't know, Alina interrupted. These operations are buried under 17 layers of discretionary protocols, authorized 5 centuries ago, and running on autopilot since. Their shuttle jostled through debris fields as they escaped the disintegrating station. Through the viewport, Zolfer watched purist warships systematically destroying every escape pod. Why target the archive? He asked quietly. Because we found this. Alina produced a small data crystal, complete records of species expungement protocols. 73 species didn't naturally give way. They were systematically eliminated after showing too much adaptive potential. Zalfer's mandibles clicked in agitation. If what you're showing me is authentic, it undermines 10,000 years of Confederation history. History written by those who arranged the comfortable seating, Alina replied. We chose the back seat because we learned what happens to species who try to move forward too quickly. The shuttle's communication array chimed. When Alina answered, a human admiral's face filled the screen. Operation Rearview is green-lit, he announced without preamble. The quarantine fleet approaching Earth has been neutralized. Phase 3 begins in 36 hours. Alina acknowledged the message before turning to Zolfer. You need to decide where you stand. The Confederation is about to discover that the observers in the back have seen everything. The Void Herald flagship materialized without warning in the Procyon system, its black crystalline structure absorbing, rather than reflecting the binary star's light. 17 Confederation defense platforms fired simultaneously, their energy weapons having no visible effect on the ancient machine intelligence's vessel. On the bridge of Earth's command carrier Nightingale, Alina watched the tactical display with grim determination. Her ship's stealth systems had kept them undetected at the battle's periphery, observing the one-sided slaughter. The Herald's quantum shell absorbs all directed energy, reported Lieutenant Kyoto, studying sensor readings. Their armor reconstitutes faster than kinetic weapons can damage it. Alina nodded, eyes fixed on the Confederation's disorganized response. Just as the archives predicted. The Heralds haven't evolved new tactics in 50,000 years. Admiral Chen's holographic form materialized beside her. All evacuation ships are away from Proxima, Centauri, and Epsilon Eridani. Refugee convoys proceeding to rally points. And the contingency for the Confederation capital. Strike Team Omega is in position, Chen confirmed. Ready on your mark. Alina accessed a secure channel, encoded with quantum algorithms that even the Confederation's most advanced systems couldn't crack. Ambassador Zalthur are the High Chancellor and Inner Council at the designated coordinates. The Vraxian's voice crackled through. Affirmative. They believe they're being evacuated to a secure facility. And the purist leadership. Aboard as well, though segregated as you requested. Alina nodded to her communications officer. Signal Omega. Execute protocol revelation. Across Confederation space, human vessels suddenly dropped their energy signatures, revealing their true positions. A coordinated network surrounding critical systems and evacuation routes. On the main Confederation command channel, emergency overrides activated as Admiral Chen addressed the panicking fleet. This is Admiral Nolan Chen of the Earth Defense Force. All Confederation vessels, implement emergency protocol sundown. Repeat, implement sundown. On the capital planet, the High Chancellor's supposedly secure bunker went into lockdown as human security forces, disguised for months as maintenance staff, took control. What is the meaning of this? Demanded the Chancellor, tentacles writhing in agitation. Zolv. Thor stepped forward. Your evacuation transport has been modified to serve as command center. The Void Heralds have broken through the outer defensive line. Through the bunker's atmospheric shields, they watched as the Herald flagship systematically destroyed the orbital platforms. Then, unexpectedly, 3 human cruisers decloaked in precise formation and launched unusual projectiles toward the Herald vessel. Primitive kinetic weapons, scoffed a purist counselor. The humans are more desperate than. The projectiles detonated, not with conventional explosions, but with reality-distorting rifts that twisted the space around the Herald ship. Its crystalline structure began to fracture along impossible geometries. Gravitational inversion warheads, Zolfer explained, mandibles clicking in astonishment. Technology the Confederation abandoned as theoretically unworkable millennia ago. On the Nightingale, Alina's ship rocked as secondary explosions cascaded from the damaged Herald vessel. Warning klaxons screamed as critical systems failed. Direct hit to our engine core, Kyoto reported. Life support failing. The Lena activated her quantum transmitter one final time. Admiral Chen, the Herald command vessel is vulnerable. Execute Phase 4. As her ship began to break apart, Alina accessed her neural implants emergency protocols. Her consciousness transferred to the ship's quantum buffer seconds before the explosion claimed her physical form. The last transmission from the Nightingale reached Zalther's private communicator, a set of coordinates deep within Jupiter's atmosphere, and a simple message. The back seat was never our final destination. The atmosphere within Jupiter's hidden installation crackled with tension as Admiral Helena Chen led Zalfer through a series of biometrically secured chambers. Each room revealed technologies more advanced than the last, from consciousness transfer matrices to dark matter manipulation arrays. Your daughter transmitted her neural patterns seconds before the Nightingale was destroyed, Zolfer noted, watching technicians prepare a synthetic body. You can resurrect her. Not resurrection, Helena corrected, her weathered face betraying little emotion. Continuity. We've maintained backup options since we realized how the Confederation treats species that become too inconvenient. A holographic projection activated, showing a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with countless pinpoints of light, far more numerous than known Confederation outposts. Earth's shadow network, Helena explained. Observation posts, research stations, and emergency shelters established over the past century. We colonized hundreds of worlds in secret while the Confederation believed we were still mastering basic interplanetary travel. Zalfer's compound eyes widened. The resources required. The coordination across generations. Necessity, Helena replied simply. When we recovered technology from the crashed ship at Roswell, we also recovered its database. We learned about the Void Herald centuries before the Confederation acknowledged the threat. A technician approach, offering the secure data tablet. Helena reviewed the information, her expression hardening. The purists have activated sleeper agents throughout the evacuation fleets. They're attempting to seize control of refugee convoys. Zalther's exoskeleton tensed. The High Chancellor is secure, Helena assured him, but we need to accelerate our timeline. She led him to the installation's core, a vast spherical chamber housing an alien artifact unlike any Confederation design. The device pulsed with energy patterns that seemed to bend reality around it. The Sentinel, Helena explained, recovered from beneath Antarctica in 2031. We believe it's a defense mechanism created by whoever came before the Heralds. Impossible, Zolfer whispered. The Confederation has searched for pre-Herald technology for millennia without success. The Confederation searched obvious places, a familiar voice interjected. They turned to see Alina, or rather, her consciousness now housed in a synthetic body, approaching with fluid natural movements. "Mother," she acknowledged Alina before addressing Zalthur. The Herald's first victims didn't build obvious monuments or sprawling empires. They hid their most crucial technologies in the last places anyone would look, on seemingly primitive worlds like Earth. Helena activated the command console. The Sentinel network requires simultaneous activation from multiple nodes. We've spent decades positioning them throughout key systems. "What will it do?" Zalthur asked. "Create a quantum field that disrupts the Herald's hive-mind connection," Helena explained. "Without it, they're just individual units, dangerous but manageable." A technician hurried in with urgent news. "Herald forces have breached Ta City. Confederation defense fleets are in complete disarray." Helena nodded grimly. "It's time." She turned to Zalthur. "The Confederation believes they've been shepherding humanity's development. In reality, we've been gradually integrating our technologies with theirs, preparing for this moment." She transferred command codes to Alina. The Sentinel activation requires one final component, the Confederation Charter Authorization Matrix, accessible only by a council member. Both humans looked expectantly at Zalthur. "You positioned me for this," he realized. "My appointment to the historical archives, my accidental discoveries, all orchestrated." Alina's synthetic features formed a smile that perfectly matched her human original. "We chose you because, unlike most of the Council, you actually care about preserving life, not just power." Lieutenant Maya Martinez stood on the crystalline bridge of the captured Herald scout vessel, studying the alien control interfaces that responded to thought patterns rather than physical interaction. Around her, a diverse team of human specialists worked alongside select Confederation allies who had proven trustworthy. "The Herald flagship is altering its approach vector," reported Dr. Singh, his neural interface glowing as he communicated with the ship's systems. "They've detected the Sentinel activation sequence." Maya nodded, her features eerily reminiscent of her mother's despite being fully biological rather than synthetic. "As expected, begin phase-shifting protocols." The captured vessel vibrated as its crystalline structure reconfigured, mimicking the quantum signature of native Herald ships. On the tactical display, 12 other captured vessels, each commanded by human-led teams, executed the same transformation. "Infiltration fleet in formation," Maya confirmed. "Commence Operation Trojan." Their small fleet accelerated toward the massive Herald command structure, a planet-sized construct of living crystal that served as the central node of the machine intelligence. To the Herald's sensor systems, they appeared as damaged units returning for repair and reintegration. "Neural damping fields at maximum," Singh cautioned. "Everyone remember your conditioning. One stray thought about our true purpose and their hive mind will detect us." The captured vessels merged with the streams of Herald ships, entering the command structure's maintenance bays. As they penetrated deeper into the construct, Maya activated a secure quantum channel to Admiral Chen. "Insertion teams in position. Sentinel nodes are ready for synchronized activation." Chen's voice came through clearly despite the distance. "The diversion fleet is engaging Herald forces at Proxima Centauri. You have a 15-minute window before they realize it's a trap." As their vessel docked within the crystalline hive, Maya led her team through corridors that seemed to pulse with malevolent intelligence. Each step required perfect mental discipline to avoid triggering the Herald's neural security systems. "The central processing core is 3 levels down," whispered Zalthur, who had insisted on joining the mission despite the danger. "The Confederation attempted to breach a similar structure 8 centuries ago. None returned." Maya's expression remained determined. "They didn't have our advantages. Human unpredictability." Singh added, "Herald systems are built on absolute logic. They cannot comprehend intentional irrationality." They reached a pulsating chamber where crystalline structures converged around a swirling vortex of dark energy, the Herald's quantum consciousness core. Human technicians began installing Sentinel interface nodes at precise coordinates around the chamber. "Remarkable," Zolfer observed. "You're not attempting to destroy it." "Destruction would be temporary," Maya explained, calibrating her equipment. "They would eventually reconstruct. We're altering their core programming instead." A shuddering vibration ran through the structure. Warning glyphs materialized around them as the Herald intelligence detected the intrusion. "We've been compromised," Singh reported tensely. "Neural security countermeasures activating." Maya activated her emergency protocols, establishing direct neural connection to the Sentinel network. "All teams, execute Override Alpha." Repeat, Override Alpha. Throughout the Herald structure, human operatives simultaneously activated their Sentinel nodes, creating a cascading quantum field that temporarily disrupted the Herald hive mind. In that moment of confusion, Maya uploaded the reprogramming sequence, not a destructive virus, but something far more insidious. "Upload complete," she announced as crystalline sentinels converged on their position. "Fall back to extraction points." As they fought their way back to their vessel, Zolfer asked the question that had been troubling him. "What exactly did you upload to their core consciousness?" Maya's expression held the same enigmatic smile her mother had perfected. Empathy. 5 years after the Herald reconfiguration, the newly constructed Confederation Assembly Hall on neutral territory near Barnard's Star hosted its inaugural session. Unlike the hierarchical arrangement of the old council chambers, this hall featured a circular design where representatives sat according to function rather than status. Maya Martinez, now Earth's official representative, took her place in the governance section, neither at the front nor the back, but positioned with clear sightlines to all other delegates. The synthetic form of her mother Elena sat among the historical advisors, her consciousness having chosen to remain in artificial form despite the option to return to biological existence. As the session opened, the reformed High Chancellor, now called the Facilitator, invited Zolfer to present his completed historical analysis. The Vraxian stepped to the central podium, his exoskeleton now bearing ceremonial markings denoting his status as Chief Chronicler. "The conclusions of my 5-year study are now available to all citizens of our Reformed Alliance," he began, "but I wish to highlight several key findings that fundamentally change our understanding of our shared history." Holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing the original Roswell crash site alongside recovered artifacts. Humanity's first contact was not, as our official record stated, in 2157. Earth had been aware of the wider galaxy for over 2 centuries, recovering technology and data that the Confederation had deemed lost. Murmurs spread through the assembly as Zolfer continued. More significantly, when faced with evidence of advanced civilizations, humans did not respond with conquest or technological dependency as predicted by our sociological models. Instead, they developed a multi-generational strategy of careful observation and selective advancement. The display shifted to show the transformed Herald vessels, now serving as peaceful exploration ships with mixed crews of organics and synthetics. The success of the Herald reconfiguration demonstrated the validity of humanity's approach. By uploading empathic algorithms derived from human neural patterns, they transformed an existential threat into a partner species capable of genuine cooperation. An elderly human janitor entered quietly through a side door, beginning his routine cleaning. Several delegates nodded respectfully to him, recognizing the man who had memorized decades of council discussions while being completely overlooked. "What remains most remarkable," Zolfer continued, "is that humans could have seized power multiple times during the crisis. They possessed technological advantages, strategic positioning, and information superiority. Yet they consistently chose balance over dominance." Maya rose to address the assembly, her voice carrying the same measured tone her mother had perfected. "The facilitator has asked me to explain why humans have declined leadership of the Defense Council despite our proven capabilities," she began. "The answer lies in our understanding of perspective." She activated a simple visual demonstration, a circular room with chairs facing different directions. Those at the front see only what's directly ahead. Those at the back see everyone and everything. For centuries, humanity chose the back seat not from weakness but from wisdom. We needed to understand the full spectrum of galactic life before we could effectively participate. The display shifted to show Earth's new position in the Alliance, integrated but not dominant. Now we choose the middle seats, close enough to assist when needed, but with perspective to see broader patterns. Because leadership isn't about having the most prominent position. The elderly janitor smiled knowingly as he polished a section of railing, his enhanced memory capturing every word for Earth's still operational Artemis network. The wisest drivers, Maya concluded, are those who remember how it felt to sit in every seat of the vehicle.